You have a check engine light with an EVAP leak code. Today I'm going to show you how to find it. There's two different types. There's a large leak and there's a small leak, but both are EVAP codes that you'll get on your car. We're going to inspect the entire EVAP system of this vehicle because I know that's what's wrong with it. And I'm going to show you step by step what to look for, where to look, and show you exactly what a DIY mechanic can fix. Welcome back if you've been here before. If not, my name's Craig and this is Papa's Custom Cars. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, what is an EVAP leak? Well, it's relatively simple. It's basically the vapors, fuel vapors in a vehicle that are recirculated through the system. Well, when that doesn't happen properly and there's a leak anywhere in that system, it'll throw an engine code. The computer detects that pressure loss and turns on that check engine light, and then basically it'll give you two different things. It'll be either a small leak or a large leak. Basically, the system recirculates that vapor into the engine and then burns it instead of releasing it into the atmosphere. When there's a leak anywhere in the entire system, it basically loses pressure, and the little pressure switch that's in the system will throw a code to the computer telling it, hey, we've got a leak. And I'm going to kind of walk you through where to find it and how to find it and that type of thing. So let's go do a little bit of searching, and I'll go through that with you. So some of the codes that you're going to get are going to be a P0440, a P0442, P0455, P0456. These are all going to be leak codes, and it could be a small leak or a large leak. When I coded this out, it was a small and a large, so it's like there's leaks everywhere. So here's the first place you want to start looking. So one of the first things you want to look at is going to be your gas cap. Is it tight? Is it sealed up properly? This particular one, I've already replaced it. The reason I replaced it is it's quite simple. You grab your gas cap off, you inspect everything in it. Is it cracked? Is there anything broken? The little rubber seal in there's a little rubber seal that seals to the gas tank and makes sure that gas doesn't escape out of here. Well, is that little gasket, is it pliable? Does it have cracks in it? Is it hard? Those are all indicators that this gas cap needs to be replaced. Another thing is, you go to the gas station and you just kind of throw the cap on and you call it quits. A lot of times these caps, if they're not screwed all the way down and there's a leak developing, that's going to give you a code. That could be a big leak. So make sure when you do put your gas cap on, you get plenty of clicks out of it and you know that it's tight and on there. This particular one was really bad. I know that when I took the gas cap off, I couldn't smell the fumes of the gas coming out because the system wasn't sealed. And again, that lack of seal created a check engine light because the EVAP system said, oh, you got a leak. And this new cap, when I take the cap off, I'll automatically smell gas coming up, which I couldn't before. And that tells me that this gas cap is now good. So I've already replaced that. Last but not least, before you put the gas cap on, look at the seal in the gas cap. Is there dirt around that seal? Is it nice and straight? There's no cracks or anything in the filler neck. Those two would also cause a leak. So another thing that you want to pay attention to. And then again, make sure she's tight all the way. So the next thing we want to check is in the engine compartment. The engine compartment is going to have a set of vacuum hoses that all run through and feed that vapor back into the engine so it can burn it. Let me show you where they're at. And I also want to show you something that a lot of these vehicles have that'll help you find an issue. So on this particular vehicle, and a lot of them, you're going to have a couple of different things here on your tag. Not all of them will have that, but it basically shows you, here's the front of your vehicle, here's your engine. This is where your PVC system runs over here on the valve covers. So this is your engine, these are your valve covers. And then over here's the front of your vehicle. And then back here you've got your fuel tank. You've got your climate control, speed control, 4x4 axle when equipped, the vacuum for that. You've got your crankcase breather right there, throttle body, all that kind of stuff. But over here on the other side of the engine, it shows you, you've got your EVAP canister, your duty cycle, your purge solenoid, and your leak detection pump, and that's what sends that code. And it also has a little filter in it, so it's telling you here's where everything's at. It's going to be on this side of the car. So let me show you where it's at on here, and I'll show you what I ran into already. So the next thing you check are your hoses. This particular one I've already replaced. Here's the old hose, but if you look, there's a big old crack on this side, and there was a big old crack on the other side. This was running over here to your purge valve, and this takes it from the fuel tank and puts it into the engine itself so that it recirculates that fuel into that system. So kind of basically the way it operates is you're bringing your vapors from your gas tank up into the solenoid, and then it's sending it to the different, like this particular one would go more than likely to the intake or what have you. As you can see, I left my hose here. Set that over there for right now. But you want to visually inspect these. Look at them. Make sure there's no cracks or holes or anything in that nature. I also discovered that this one underneath to the canister was also leaking. It was just as bad as this one. So that tells me there's probably more to find here. And basically what you want to do is kind of grab a hold of them, wiggle them a little bit, look for cracks on them. They should be relatively pliable. Shouldn't be anything leaking at all. And then we want to check and make sure that everything going down, like I said, this one was bad. So that was one of the many leaks. But you just want to make sure that all of this is going in the way it's supposed to. Let me check back here a little bit. This one's more a harder line, but I'm looking back here. Yeah, let me show you this. Generally, when there's one culprit, there's many. So because this hose is cracked, that means I want to check the whole line. So I'm running back through here. I'm following this line, and I'm going this way. This one looks okay. Doesn't look like there's any major issues. But I get back here, and look what I find. Back here, let me get this off. So again, another cracked hose. Big old crack in it, that would cause a leak. So that's another problem. So just these little bitty checks will get you down that road. So again, we need a new piece of hose. This is all a high temperature silicone hose that I bought. I own a whole bunch of it. So let me go grab my cutter, and I want to make one to that one. That's definitely a problem. Let's see, let's follow this one down. Yeah, this is connected to this one that I've already replaced. But yeah, time will cause these to get dry and brittle and crack. So all you have to do is make sure that you've got the right size. This particular one is, and then just cut it to fit, because you've got your old one to use as a thing. Make sure that your end is nice and square. So I need to cut this square just to make sure. And then I want to measure my distance. And there we go. And we've got our new replacement hose. And we found a second leak. Or actually, this is the third or fourth leak I found, because we got the fuel cap, this hose, and now that hose. So let's get this one changed out. Relatively easy fix. So yeah, as you're going through your car, look at all these hoses. And if your car is relatively old, odds are these hoses are going to be old and cracked and just in really bad shape. So I want to follow this one over. It runs over there to the engine. I believe that's hardline from there. Let's check it. Yep, she goes over there, through there, and into this one right here is our culprit. Yep, so we can follow it right on up. But yeah, that's leak number 2. Everything else looks like it's hard lined. That one runs up and over to the throttle body. And then we want to inspect the other hoses. This one, like I say, looks pretty good. This one too. It feels pliable. And that's really one of the easy ways to tell is you grab a hold of this hose and it's hard as a rock. You know you've got it found. But yeah, though this hose over here would cause the second code that I've got. So definitely one of the ways to find it. But this is usually, this general area is going to be your culprit. There's a lot of heat in here, and these hoses get old and crack, and that's kind of what causes your problems. So the only other one I want to check is I want to go over to where the throttle body goes in, and I want to check that one. Other than that, everything over here looks pretty good. Doesn't look like there's any other issues. But yeah, your pump and your leak detectors and everything, if you'll notice, it's got plug-ins everywhere here. And then, of course, you got your charcoal canister here. So let me go check the other side real quick. So the next thing that could actually cause it is your actual purge valve. Your purge valve can go bad. One of the easy ways to check these is to check for vacuum on both sides, or depending upon your vehicle. Different vehicles have different ways. This is, I believe, a test port or something of that nature, where you can actually check and pull vacuum to see if that's the problem. But again, you want to check everything, make sure it's all good. This particular purge valve, these are about $10, so if you know that's what it is, and there are different cars have different ways to test these. All you have to do is jump on and find out anything that could be causing it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and fire it up and see if my check engine light goes away real quick, because I'd be curious. Let me get this hose out of here. But yeah, 2 bad hoses so far. And there are more underneath the truck by the gas tank. So to check your purge valve, with it unplugged, there shouldn't be any vacuum at all in the valve. So you can unplug the valve, and doing that, put a lock, pulling the connector off, and then check to see both sides if there's vacuum here. So this one you can check with this little fitting right here. This is where you check, and I don't feel any vacuum with it unplugged. Let's plug it back in. Still no vacuum, so we should be good there. And we want to check the other side just by pulling this one off. You gotta wiggle her back and forth a little bit until she comes free. There we go. Now I feel vacuum on that side. So I'll plug her in. And I still feel vacuum on this side. Now this particular one, I believe, should have vacuum, because it's actually coming from the engine itself, and it's drawing a vacuum through here and into the engine from that line we already replaced. So we do have a vacuum on this side, but not on this side. So that's an indicator that that's not leaking anymore. So let's go ahead and plug that back in. Check everything over here, make sure we're all good. And then we'll put our, yeah, I feel nothing. So go ahead and close that up. And that means that we should be good there. So since we've already found one leak, we want to go ahead and run it again and see if we can. So basically, the check engine light is still there, mainly because it hasn't been cleared yet, or the code hasn't been cleared. That doesn't necessarily mean we fixed it, but we found one of many leaks so far. I'll show you where to look for the next bunch of hoses and canisters and such. This also has the ability, these upper end ones, like I said, buying one of these, they're a little on the pricey side, but you can do so much with this. You could actually, diagnose the code. You can run actuator tests. Like I can actually tell this to go ahead and check the purge valve and make sure that everything's working properly. I ran the test a few times and I got no result, probably because it had massive leaks everywhere. But yeah, I'd run a video last week about running codes on a vehicle, and I was talking to my neighbor, and he goes, "Oh yeah," he says, I'm getting a bunch of different codes on mine, and I'm having some issues with the transmission. You think you could take a look at it? It happens to be we just did a transmission video, we just did a check engine video, and like I said, this, all you mechanics out there who know, this is probably one of the most common ones that I see, at least in all of my cars. I think I've had to replace gas caps and find bad hoses and all that kind of stuff. But those hoses are like the number one culprit. If you have to replace the purge valve, if you go through and you fix all the hoses, you still can't find it, and you have to change that purge valve. That purge valve is anywhere from $10 to $20 to fix the issue and make your car run right again. Because with those leaks and everything, your car's not going to run right because it's leaking vacuum out everywhere. But yeah, just the hoses that I've replaced on this thing so far, I've replaced 3 hoses so far. So odds are you'll probably find that same type of situation, especially if it's an older car. Nobody checks that stuff. You see a check engine light and you run your code and it's that EVAP small or large leak. Odds are it's going to be one of these things that we're looking at and save you a bunch of trouble. So let's see. Let's read the DTC. So now it's got different ones, P1756 and of course that PO455. Governor pressure not equal to target. I don't know what that one is. That's a new one. So what's neat about these is you can touch the search button and it'll go find it for you. So it'll tell you what that code is. You don't have to sit here and run through a book or anything of that nature. So it's the governance pressure not equal to target. Indicates that the transmission governor pressure does not match the target pressure of 20 psi. I already knew that. That's next week's video, but we're going to go ahead and move right on past that. So it's going to be faulty governor pressure solenoid, faulty governor pressure. So we're going to skip over that one because I already know that one is, and it didn't give me that code, and now I know for sure it is what I thought it was. So EVAP large leak detected. That's PO455. And again, you could just tap this thing, or now it has an AI feature, which is something completely new on this. And you can tap the AI feature, and it'll go through AI Diagnostic Assistant serves as an auxiliary reference tool only, all, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I understand that. So it's going to tell me what that is. So right now it's EVAP. So all you tell it is deep thinking, and it'll go tell you what it is. But we know that we already know what this is. It's that large leak, and as you saw, there were large leaks. So let's go back. Let's clear the DTC. So now we've got it all cleared. Let's go ahead and start it up. Now, it also gives you the ability to run an actuator test. Now, one of the things that I know is if the car starts hard, it starts hard after you fill it up, that type of thing generally leads to that purge solenoid being bad. This thing doesn't have any issues, no rough idle, nothing like that. So clearly, which is really weird considering we had that big old vacuum leak coming from the engine, because that was the line that comes from the engine into the solenoid itself. So although those little cracks were leaking, however small, large, or indifferent. It's got all kinds of stuff in here. This is the transmission kit. That's on another video. That code that it gave on the transmission, this is the answer. What it's telling it's got an issue is these two little solenoids right here that go into transition. Common problem. That's for a whole other video. So now our system, we're good here. Like I was saying, that one that runs over, this is the one that had a hole in it. It runs up to the throttle body. And then the other one that had the hole in it was the one that runs from the main line coming in. It had a hole in it. So we have two different holes in this system itself. And then the one running from here to the filter also had a hole in it. So there were those already. The next thing we want to check is our EVAP canister. It's also got, and that's again where you see that coming from that service port that goes into a canister underneath the vehicle by the gas tank. So we took her out for a test drive Sunday. This is a couple days later. And went over and they said, no, you haven't driven it enough. Take it down the road. I took it down and drove about 30 miles and came back. The place I didn't check, the canister. Above the canister, there's two lines that come from the EGR system up in the front, runs down along the frame rail into the charcoal canister, and it's two pieces, and they're huge. Didn't have the camera on. The easiest way to deal with it on this particular vehicle was to actually remove it, because it's on the frame rail on the passenger side. I was looking over on the driver's side for smoke, didn't see any. Guess what? It's because it was over on the other side of the vehicle. So you want to check that canister. Generally, like I said, when we found these hoses with the cracks and everything in them, both along the EGR system, odds are the ones in the back are going to be bad too. So I ended up taking, there's 2 bolts on one side, a bolt on the top, and a bolt on the front. Took the whole unit down so I could see it. In the meanwhile, I took my phone and I put it up at the top because you can't see the hoses at all. You can feel them, but you can't see them. So I took my camera and started snapping some pictures. And that was when I discovered this hose. And it's kind of hard to see, but there is a crack in that hose. And this hose runs from one canister over to the other one. Well, it's got cracks on this side and cracks on this side. And like I said, I'll put a picture of it so you guys can see. The hose running from the back, the one that I replaced the big one up in the front, here's the big one in the back. And as you can see where it mounts to the canister, it was all cracked. But as I was making my drive, that check engine light came back on again, and these were the culprits. So this is an odd one because it's got a bigger size here than on this size. This is smaller than this. So this is a specialty hose, but I was able to get one this size and clamp it down tight enough on the other side to where it's sealed. This particular one I just cut out of a regular piece of hose and added a little bit extra so it could loop up and not kink at the curve. And so that worked for this one. But I just used this basic EGR hose and basically made a big circle like this. This one's I made a big circle so that it wouldn't kink. And started the truck up. There's still a check engine light, but I know so I scanned it, and it was the transmission and no EGR. So that tells me it must have turned off because there was no more code. So there was definitely one in the history, so I removed that. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to drive it today. And then later on today, I'm going to take it back over to the Smog place and see if we can't get it to pass. And once that's done, we can move on. So if one hose is bad, odds are they're all bad. You know, if you're in there and you're going to be replacing stuff, my suggestion is on these specialty hoses, order ahead. That way you have them. Get them from a place where you know you can return them if you don't need them. But if you're in there and you're doing all this work, replace them. These are, 25-year-old hoses? So yeah, they're going to fall apart like this. But this is what you're going to find is these little hoses. I think altogether I've spent a total of $25 fixing all this stuff. So you guys can do it too. And a lot of that cost, I already had the hoses in stock. The only ones I didn't have were these big ones. And so I bought some. So that's kind of how we cured it. And let's hope that today it's done and we get it passed.
So we did take it in. She did pass. So that is done. But again, if you're replacing one or two, if you see that happening, get in there, replace them all because odds are they're all bad. So with that, hopefully this helps you figure out your problem. This, like I said, is one of the most common issues that I run into. This morning I was running code on my daughter's car. It was giving me a leak code too, so I already know where to look. But I hope this video helps you guys know where you can look and try to figure this out and spend, $5 or $10 on hoses like I did and get this problem solved. So if you like this video, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you've run into this issue, let us know what you found. Was it the valve? Was it the canister? Was it the lines? Was it the plastic hard lines cracked? Let us know in the comments what you've run into with your car, or if you're actually experiencing it right now and this video helped you. Also leave a comment thanking us to let us know that, hey, we helped you out. We really appreciate it. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.